What's up, guys? We are back for week 2, stage 2 of the Zwift games, this time on Hudson Hustle, set in New York City. Mix of real and fake. Pulling up the stage profile here. Now, this is exaggerated fairly significantly vertically, so it looks like it's really hilly, but in actuality, it's really flat. But what we can see here is that in these first 4 miles or so, there is a little bit of up and down, so could be a little bit tougher. And then later on we have some flatter sections, a little bit of a hilly section right here 8 miles in, and then at the end fairly flat but with a couple little kickers there with about 1 kilometer to go, and then there right at the very end, right at the final sprint. So with that in mind, with these first 4 miles here, I thought that I might need to set maybe a new 10-minute power record at the start just so we don't get dropped. And then hopefully things would cool off here in this section. And then watch out for these things at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started. We're in the lower C category. So there's the one that's 270 to 390 and the one that's 330 to 450. So we're still in that lower category. But if you recall correctly, last week we had a really big racing score juice from our second place. We went up 24 points, and so now going into this race I was at 383 on my racing score. So I thought if I do well I might end up getting promoted. And also with that in mind, I guess thinking of myself as one of the favorites in this race, I wanted to make sure that I did come out with a good result. So here we are right at the start, a little bit of a downhill, and then the kickers start. So just trying to make sure I'm in a decent position here in the group. Obviously you don't want to take any wind you don't need to, but at the same time making sure that no splits get away and that you can put forth a good effort up those little kickers to sort of surge through and keep the pace without wasting any effort. Another thing you might notice is that I don't have the camera of myself in the bottom left this week. I had some OBS issues. I was running late this morning because I actually did. So last week I did the noon race, and then I was missing a lot of the people who I was used to seeing. So people like Dead Last Cycling, the Levesque brothers up from Canada, K-Sloop. K-Sloop was there last week, but I thought, this week I'd go ahead and try the 10 o'clock race 2 hours earlier, same bracket, and see how that goes. The other thing is last week I put it off to watch the Brentford match, and Brentford lost, and so this week I was like, okay, I just won't worry about that. They're going at 10 o'clock also, but I'll just get on my bike and ride and then watch the rest of the match afterwards. And so here we are in another kicker. This is a little bit more of a steep one. Still going fairly hard. 5-minute power coming up soon. We're only 3 minutes in, but still I think we're averaging north of 250 watts so far. So fairly decent for 5-minute power for me. It stretches there a little bit, but it doesn't break. I'm trying to put too much effort out, so you can see there's people quite a bit further in front of me, but I figured in these flatter downhill sections we'd go ahead and catch up as a group. But yeah, back to the Brentford match. Last week they lost, and this week while I was riding my bike I kept seeing the score. Brentford had scored 3 goals by the time the race ended. I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. I wonder what's going on. And then I got off my bike, and they immediately gave up an own goal. And then second half, they gave up 2 more goals. They actually gave up 4 more goals, but 2 of them were called back for one was offside, one was handball. So maybe I'm good luck for Brentford when I'm riding my bike. So I just not allowed to watch. I have to ride my bike instead. But in any case, 10 o'clock. I was running late. I didn't have a chance to set up my OBS way ahead of time. I just did my little warm-up and got on and started it up. And it wasn't, for whatever reason, the one I had to record the window, the Zwift window wasn't working. So I had to switch to my other scene real quick that had monitor capture instead. But that one didn't have the webcam capture set up. So long story short, no webcam capture. Here we are, second to last hill on the first part. Moving up, moving forward. It's a good sign for me. I'm still feeling pretty comfortable. We have one last downhill, and then we're into the last long uphill of this race. After that, there's a couple kickers, but this is I'd seen some recons. My guy, Bike, Bonk, Biff, and some others, but his is really good. You should check his recons out. Said that this is probably where the race was going to split. This uphill, make sure you're in the front pack. and you'll probably be in the front all the way to maybe a kilometer ago. Maybe some people will try to go away there. But if you're in the front here, you're probably in good shape to be in the front all the way to the end. And the other thing to keep in mind, of course, is in the Zwift games, you only have one power-up all race. So you can see people using theirs here. That's sensible. If you think you need that to be in the front group, use it here. I was trying to save mine for the end for the sprint. So I didn't use it here, and I ended up not needing it. As you can see where the grade is shallowing out, and we're still comfortably in the front group. It's stretched out, but I don't think there's not enough people in front of me to get away and stay away. So I felt pretty comfortable where I was, and you can see here, finally we're easing off a little bit, especially once we get to this downhill section. So yeah, finally we got a chance to take a breath. There's one more little kicker here, and you can see already there were splits behind us, so good positioning here. I think this group comes back to us, but I'm not sure because we're coming up another hill, and here's K-Sloop on the front again. Mountain goat, climbing up those hills, no problem. But yeah, this is our last little kicker, and then we get some actual recovery. Because you can see right now we're still at 180 ppm leading into this hill, so going pretty hard. But coming out of it, we do finally get some recovery, and then it's a kind of a long stretch of recovery until the next section here. And I was happy to see some of the names I recognized. Like I said, K-Sloop, dead last, still up in the front group. Good to see some friendly faces. Next week, I'm probably going to do the first race, the Monday, 11 o'clock for me. The first one, I have no chance of winning it, but I just want to do it early because the weather looks mostly nice for Saturday. The temperatures look really good. It might rain, but usually when it rains around here, it rains in the afternoon instead of the morning. So I'm probably gonna do the early race next week and not do this. So farewell to these guys for a while. You can see I'm trying to inject some levity there. I ate too many Oreos. The WoW expansion came out on Thursday, and it's been a mess for me since then. I went full gamer, like full degenerate gamer. I got a huge bag of Sour Patch Kids. I've been eating those. I got cheddar and pretzel goldfish, been eating those. And I got these loaded Oreos. Last little kicker here before the downhill. You were able to sort of roll into that. It's only a couple seconds of power, and then we're back to the recovery. And yeah, like I said, wow, I've been going full degen on that since Thursday. Thursday night, so it came out at 6 p.m. I stayed up till almost 4 a.m. Just leveling. And then I woke up at I was trying to sleep in, but I forgot to close the window, so sun woke me up. It was devastating. I only got about 5 hours of sleep on Thursday, and then yesterday I tried to go to sleep early. I went to sleep around 11. I was at least in bed around 11, trying to fall asleep. And I thought I slept better, but then my watch told me I woke up in the middle of the night, which I don't remember. It didn't give me a very good sleep score. So I was a little bit concerned about how my shape would be going into this race because of all that. I shifted my riding schedule this week for that. Normally I ride, I would say, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. But this week I shifted my schedule to do Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, off Friday, and then Saturday. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel, but I felt okay in the warm-up, and then obviously the first 10 minutes went pretty well. So I was feeling pretty good at this point. You can see my heart rate's down to 165, feeling pretty comfortable, and we're in sort of the recovery zone here. So yeah, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I mean, even now, if I'm feeling good, things could still go wrong. As you can see here, I got up on the front somehow, but I wasn't going too hard, so it wasn't a big deal. Come back in the pack fairly comfortably. Just like I said, try not to eat any wind. Don't need to. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was we've talked about the Zwift game series before, right? The early ones are a much better chance for me than the later ones. There was a sprint last week, sprint this week, most likely. Next week is Richmond. It's very similar to the race we won 2 weeks ago in Richmond. Well, it's fairly similar. So last time we went to Richmond, we had those two hills at the start, the long shallower hill, and then we did a couple laps, and there was a sprint finish. So this time we do the same start. We do those 2 hills, we do the shallower hill, we do 1 lap of where we did the lap last time, and then we go back and do the start backwards. So then we have the long descent, we have the 2 hills the other way around, and then there's 1 more ascent back into the starting pens, because the last time we started with that descent. So that's a longer, shallower climb. So I'm not sure how good that course is going to be. Again, their courses are getting longer, and you can see me here trying to chat to people about the WoW expansion. People weren't very chatty during the race, except for Stannis Baratheon, which I don't know what he was doing. I don't remember the last 2 seasons well, but I'm pretty sure he died, so I don't know how he's out here riding his bikes. But yeah, back to Richmond next week. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's a longer race. Theoretically, the hilliness helps. I'm well suited for it. The short steep hills, but we'll see. The last hill is a little bit shallower. And then the week after that is a longer one with longer climbs, and then the week after that, even longer race with longer climbs. The point of all that is, I thought this was going to be maybe my last chance to have a win here, so I wanted to be in good shape for that, but I wasn't sure. We're into the next spot that I thought might be a trouble spot into the race here. We have a couple shallow hills here, and those false flats and stuff have been a weakness of mine in the past, but people weren't going too crazy on it, so it was under control. We're going a little bit over our FTP, but it's not for long durations. It's just a little bit of pressure on the legs, and I'm not feeling too under pressure here. Just staying in the group comfortably, making sure nothing silly happens, but just trying to stay in, save energy. Here I tried to steer. There's almost a disaster. I almost threw away my power up. I have the little Zwift controller things, and I was trying to steer. I hit up to bring up the menu. I almost trashed my power up, which would have been a disaster after I went to so much effort saving it early on, but thankfully I didn't. Still need to get better at steering. I keep forgetting to do it. Like here, maybe I should take the inside. I don't know. It's tough to know, like, when you're in a pack, should you bother trying to steer? Should you just let the auto draft feature take over? And then I think in the sprints, maybe it makes more sense to try to steer, to like take short corners, or maybe on descents and things like that, to make sure you're on the shorter end of the corners. But I don't know. If you guys know anything about like when to use steering, when it's good, when it's bad, drop it in the comments. I'm sure we have lots of Zwift experts watching my YouTube channel, not just random friends and family who I coerce to watch it. If you know about the steering, drop a comment, leave me a line, and I will work to implement it in my next race. So yeah, we're through that little hilly section, but into another recovery section here. You can see it's all blue, green, a little bit of yellow, a couple splashes of orange, but feeling pretty comfortable. So now, actually, I got a small cramp in my side here when I was sitting up to drink some water, but it wasn't too bad. But then it was like 25 minutes, which is about where the last few races have been. So I was like, hope I don't run out of energy here. I also skipped my pre-race Rice Krispies treat, which I normally have. Normally I get Rice Krispies right before I get on the bike, but I had been eating so much carbs with all the Sour Patch Kids and stuff. I was like, I don't need a Rice Krispies treat this morning. So I was a little bit worried about running out of energy because of that, but I just had my carb mix in my bottle, so I wasn't too worried about that. I was hoping it would take care of it, along with all the Sour Patch Kids I've been eating, which is just an outrageous amount. So in the last 3.5 kilometers, there's a couple attack opportunities, which I was hoping nobody would take advantage of. There's this little steep hill here, but you get a boost advantage going up it. So it's tough for the pack to split there. Somebody has to really like continue the attack after the hill. And then right by this green marker, there's a hill right after that, which I had seen in some other races earlier in the week. People tried to attack there. I was hoping nobody would do that because I didn't want to have to close that myself. And I was worried other people might not. So I thought if there was a strong long-range attacker who attacked from there, they would probably take the win. And then obviously the last hill is the last place for me to go, and that's where I wanted to go, was in the last hill to do the sprint. But thankfully nobody attacked coming out of the tunnel there, so then it's just again, trying to stay well positioned here. This time I also wanted to make sure I used my feather at the right time, because as you remember last week, I had planned to save my feather for that the spiral climb, and I totally forgot about it. I had to use it on the flat sprint. Thankfully, it's a little bit easier to know when to use it this time around, because you're at the finish line. It's time to use it. But there was still some confusion for me. Like, I almost forgot to start my sprint at the right time because I wasn't exactly sure. Like, I thought there was like a left turn, and then I could see the finish line. But when I did a left turn and started my sprint, I didn't see the finish line, so I was a little bit concerned. But we'll cover that when we get there. We're coming into the downhill here, and then there's the uphill where I was hoping nobody was tagging. So here I had like all my fingers and toes crossed, staying up near the front of the pack, because I was like, if somebody makes a gap, I don't want to have to chase it, but maybe if somebody looks like they're attacking, I can prevent them from getting a gap. So I was watching like on the right side all the power things, and it didn't seem like anybody was going crazy hard. And this one guy used his feather, but he didn't get away. So at that point I was like, okay, we're all going back to the finish as a group. Just got to make sure I get there in the front group, and then do a good sprint. But here I was worried because I was too far out in front. So I actually was showing how nervous I was here, because I would like surge to the front, come to the back, because I'm like, oh, I'm way too far up front, and then surge to the front again. Oh no, I'm on the front again. I want to be in the wind. I want to be behind some people. Kind of a disaster. But here we go. Final left turn, downhill into an uphill. This guy starts to sprint a little bit early. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I'm sure that was it. Drop my feather, drop a sprint, blast past him. Kind of worried because we're not quite at the finish yet. But thankfully, I look down. People are 10 meters behind. Come through first place. Another win. Very happy about that. So that makes 2 wins in 3 weeks. First, second, first. And yeah, feeling really good about that. We can pull over my other window here that I had pulled up. So here's on Zwift Power the results. So category C, it expected me to come in 8th according to my Zwift Power. I think it was my ZRS. I was the 8th highest coming in, and I won there. Very happy with it. But we can see my racing score is now 390 after that race. So next week I'm no longer eligible for the 330 to 389 category, and I'll have to do the the 270 to 389 category. Next we'll have to do 330 to 449, I think. So back to the middle of the category. We'll see how that goes. And then if we look at it on the Zwift Racing website, which tries to take into account different power factors and the style of course, this one actually had me predicted to win. So no pressure, but glad I got that done. And we can look at like my historical efforts here. It was, so this shows you 20 minute, 5 minute, 2 minute. So it's actually in a race, my 5 minute best, 2 minute best, and 1 minute best. Not quite my best sprint. I guess I was a little bit more tired than I was in this, the one 2 weeks ago where I won. Or maybe just because I've been gaming too hard. But still, good efforts there. Next week we'll see if we go after this 20-minute one, because the Richmond race, yeah, it was a little bit more in the 20-minute power, and then we have even longer. This was interesting, I thought. It's the point of view of the second place person who can't coming in second place, and I just like watching this to see me blast past him right here, right at the steep part, blowing down that power and zooming away. And yeah, we can see he was not too close to coming back on me there, so happy about that. And then looking at the ride, so we thought there might be that's the wrong ride, a 10-minute power best in the first 10 minutes, and I think we didn't quite get there. Yeah, 2 weeks ago was a better 10-minute power, but it was close. I think we had a best all time around 2-minute power here. Yep. And then I think 30 minutes, just because this race was a little bit longer, was an all-time best. And then, yeah, as we can see, the sprints weren't quite there. So, like I said, next week in Richmond, a longer course, and we're going to be in the next category up. So it's going to be tough. Goal will not be to win. Goal is just going to be hang on. And I think I'm going to do the Monday race, depending on work stuff, if I can get an early lunch to do it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week.